We should have almost have an accreditation to say, or the ability to demonstrate that we are continuously keeping security, proving it. Proof, not promise, is a term that is now falling into this industry. We should be able to prove, not just promise, that we are secure.
You're listening to the MSP Security Playbook, the show where modern MSPs come to sharpen their strategy, streamline operations, and secure their growth. I'm your host, Jacob Hazelbaker, Channel Account Manager here at Heimdall Security, where we help MSPs win with unified, AI-powered cybersecurity solutions. Today's guest is Austen Clark, CEO of Jera IT Limited, a fast-growing Scottish MSP known for its resilience, innovation, and commitment to client trust. Under Austen's leadership, Jera has navigated major milestones, from successfully integrating two established IT firms to leading clients through real-world ransomware attacks and achieving multiple cybersecurity certifications, including Cyber Essentials Plus and IASME. In this conversation, Austen shares how his team helped a client recover from the Akira Ransomware strain without paying the ransom or losing a single day's work, how certifications can strengthen both client confidence and competitive advantage, and what trends and challenges UK MSPs should be preparing for in the years ahead. It's a conversation packed with experience, practical lessons, and insights every MSP can use to build stronger, more resilient business. But before all that, here's Adam Pilton, Heimdall Cybersecurity Advisor, with this week's Threat Brief.
Thanks, Jacob. Ireland's newly elected president, Catherine Connolly, has become the latest world leader targeted by artificial intelligence-generated disinformation. Just days before her victory, a highly convincing deepfake video surfaced online, falsely showing her announcing her withdrawal from the race. The fake clip wasn't a simple video edit. It was a full-scale fabrication that appeared to come directly from Ireland's national broadcaster, RTE News. It showed AI-generated versions of real journalists, complete with realistic studio graphics and commentary, all designed to convince viewers that Connolly had dropped out. Even experts in digital media were surprised by the sophistication. Analysts from Dublin City University said it was one of the most convincing pieces of manipulated media they'd ever seen. Connolly quickly denounced the video, calling it a disgraceful attempt to mislead voters and undermine democracy. Her campaign filed a complaint with Ireland's Electoral Commission, and regulators worked with social media platforms to remove the clip. Meta took down the fake Facebook account that posted as RTE News. YouTube and X followed with their own actions, while the European Commission reminded platforms of their legal duty under the EU's Digital Services Act to safeguard election integrity. Experts who analysed the video pointed to small signs that gave it away: subtle distortions in facial movements, an unnatural glow around presenters, and one glaring red flag, a fabricated line claiming the election had been cancelled. But these clues were minor compared to the realism of the footage. Researchers say the level of detail suggests the creators were not random pranksters, but individuals with a deep understanding of Irish politics and media. For cybersecurity professionals, this case is another warning shot. Deepfake technology has advanced to the point where a few hours of AI work can create a near flawless imitation of a person's face and voice. And as this incident shows, the damage doesn't have to come from hacking or data theft. It can come from deception alone. President Connolly's election victory stands as proof that the attack failed to change the outcome, but underscores a growing global problem. Disinformation campaigns no longer rely on crude Photoshop edits or poorly dubbed videos. They now use machine learning models capable of producing believable falsehoods in minutes, ready to be deployed into the social media ecosystem where truth and fiction stand side by side. For the rest of the world, this incident in Ireland should serve as a clear reminder. Democracy's new front line isn't just the ballot box, it's the screen. As deepfakes become cheaper, faster, and more persuasive, the responsibility to detect and counter them will not just fall on governments and tech companies, but on everyone who consumes and shares digital content. Seeing is no longer believing, and in 2025, that simple fact may be one of the biggest challenges to truth we've ever faced. Stay sharp. Catch you in the next Threat Brief. Back to you, Jacob.
Austen Clark, thank you so much for your time today.
Hi, Jacob. Nice to see you today, and look forward to seeing where the conversation goes today.
Yeah, me too. So, for those who don't yet know you, can you tell us a little bit more about Jera IT and your personal role as the CEO?
All right. Thanks, Jacob. I'm CEO of a company called Jera IT based in Scotland. We've offices throughout Scotland in Edinburgh, Glasgow, and in Aberdeenshire. My role is CEO, and I spend a lot of my time around probably looking to see where the marketplace is, and I keep very close with the community in the IT industry.
Fantastic. Thank you for that overview. And something else I love about your background, your history, is that in 2023, just a little bit ago, one of your clients was unfortunately hit by the notorious Akira strain of ransomware. That one was pretty prolific. Ransomware as a service. It was out there all over the place. But you mentioned that your client survived that without paying the ransom, and you've never really lost a day of work. So, what difference made it for that case for you? Like, how did you manage to pull that off?
Well, Jacob, that's a really interesting. In some ways, some of it was luck. In other ways, it was down to good being prepared. And I also would take it down to the fact that the guidance and the expertise that we'd offer to our clients to put in place measures which would mitigate this, they came to the fore and they did the job and the roles that we had intended them to do. The combination of having services in the cloud, having on-premise services, and like many of these things, there's always a sense of not so much luck, but the ransomers don't think out of the box at every point. And we had a server which was offline, which was inaccessible to them across the wide area networks that we have in place, and we were able to recover a portion of the network. But we had put in a lot of measures to safeguard the client. The thing with the whole Akira attack, that ransomware attack, is that they had been sitting in the network for, we had estimated anything between 90 to 120 days. So they had been there in the network, and this is a network that was managed and had a quite an it was a comprehensive set of security measures were in place, but they still managed to get in, and they still managed to sit on that network. And there were some historic applications and services there, which meant that the network could never be fully locked down. There were some compromises, and we see that a lot in the real world. When it came to ensuring making sure that the client was secure, a lot of that had been done, but we had tools in place that meant that we did not have to go back with cap in hand or beg to the attacker to release the data. We had a process that we followed. We had a DR plan which hadn't been well tested, but had been well thought through to allow us to get from a bad situation to get a good situation.
That's I think I find that being one of the key distinctions between a very well developed, more mature MSP and one that's, still growing, still trying to figure things out, is that you have that plan in place. You have the people knowing exactly what next steps to do in case something like that happens in a ransomware attack. So I love that you had that process in your head or on paper already. You ever do like a practice where you just simulate another attack or ransomware attack and just see if you run through your process, what would happen?
Yeah, we've certainly done that in the past, and we have sat in on examples of those ransomware or those a cyber attack, and you can't use this, and that's been that's gone up in flames, and you can't access this. We've done all that, but nothing beats actually seeing it in action. So here's the thing: give you an example, Jacob. When we as technical people look at it, we look at what is going to happen in the technical world. What will not be there? What will be there? What do we have to switch off? What can we bring back online? How do we make that network? That's one element. Element number two is you have a client or a business who is saying and shouting, we need to be back online. We need our networks back up. We need to know what is going on. So I had to protect my team so they could technically go after this. And we had to build a bubble around them so the client has somebody who was feeding the information from within the bubble outward to them around communication. So communication was actually one of the biggest problems in that situation, and we hadn't practiced that. What happens when you're under the heat of an attack? Who is going to be communicating with the client and keeping them up to date as to the progress and at what is good information and what is not relevant information? That got trialed very quickly as soon as the attack happened.
Something else I thought was interesting is Jera IT holds multiple certifications that are pretty prominent. So you have Cyber Essentials, Cyber Essentials Plus, and IASME, among others.
Yep, and we've also got ISO 9000 as well. ISO 9000 as well, 9001 as well.
That's a lot. See, so like, what was that journey like? That's a lot to juggle, but it looks like it's paid off. And what surprised you while going through those?
If we start with one of the first ones we did was ISO 9001. Now, the ISO 9001 is all about process and about proving it. Now, we looked to get this one, and that was a big one to get for the size of organizations we were. But the ISO 9001 meant that we could evidence that we had systems and processes and they were being followed. We could quantify when we were going through tenders or we were getting asked by a lot of in the area there's a lot of oil and gas and service companies in this area. So it was important to them to be working with an MSP, a provider who had the same mentality around the ISO accreditation. So that was important. Cyber Essentials, I believe this industry should have at minimum Cyber Essentials Plus for all MSPs. Now that can be tough for a smaller organization who may only have 3 or 4 people in the team, but we are holding the crown jewels, the keys to the kingdom, all the assets which our clients rely upon driving their businesses forward. So I don't think it's acceptable that our industry hasn't sorted out its security before they go and tell others how they should have their security. Cyber Essentials is currently a UK-based accreditation framework, not too dissimilar from the NIST in the US. It doesn't take anybody long to open up a paper and find another company which has been attacked, as we've had experience of. And I think that if you haven't got your house in order, I think it's a very difficult thing to actually go and tell others. So Cyber Essentials, that is a framework around about 60 questions. Cyber Essentials Plus is verifying with an independent auditor that what you say you've got in place, you have in place. Now, I would go one stage further than that, Jacob. I personally think it shouldn't be, we call it an MOT here in the UK, it shouldn't be a once in a year check. I believe that we should have we should be able to evidence that we are secure every single day of the year, and there should be we should have almost an accreditation to say or the ability to demonstrate that we are continuously keeping security, proving it. Proof, not promise, is a term that is now falling into this industry. We should be able to prove, not just promise, that we are secure.
Proof not promised. I'm going to remember that one. That's a phrase I haven't yet heard, but it's very descriptive, especially for why MSPs find so much benefit going for certifications. Hey, I hope you're enjoying this week's conversation. If you're finding this episode valuable, take a quick second to follow the MSP Security Playbook on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or YouTube. It really helps us reach more MSPs who want to scale smarter and lead with security, and it keeps this kind of expert insight coming your way. Now, back to the episode. Another piece we were talking about was in regards, or even a major incidents like Akira ransomware strain that you went to. How do you maintain both transparency and your clients' confidence during these periods of drastic change?
Communication. Communication is number one. Having open conversations with your clients, making sure that they are you're keeping them informed. In my career, I've always used the term that you need to tell people 7 times, or need to tell people 7 times in 7 different ways, because everybody hears something in a different fashion. You may send out an email to the whole company, but that doesn't mean to say everybody reads their emails. So you then need to put it out in Teams, and not everybody gets the connotation in Teams, so you may have to have a face-to-face. You may have a townhouse meeting. You may need to create new collateral or put up posters or have a lunch and learn. We have done all of that because you need to keep people informed. I've always found that where there's a vacuum, that's where misinformation gets sucked into. So be prepared to step up and have that conversation, and you may have to repeat it, and you may have to repeat it in different ways to different people.
Oh, that's great advice. Communication is key during times of change, it sounds like, and then communicate it in 7 different ways to multiple different people.
Absolutely.
So looking forward then, since we're on the topic of the future, from your perspective, what's the biggest challenge or perhaps even challenges MSPs in the UK especially should be preparing for right now, whether it's regulation, cyber insurance, client expectations, or something else perhaps?
If we take the industry as an entity in its own right, we have a number of elements in there. I would certainly say talent is a big issue. Discovery of talent, building of talent, and of retaining talent. That has always been something which we've had in the industry. I think AI is going to come along. It's actually going to help in some ways. I think it's going to take away some of the minutiae, the day-to-day, that level of tech that's required. And I think it's going to allow many of our techs to actually, our colleagues to rise up. There's a question mark around that, but I think there's a potential there. I think in our industry, with all the, which is in the media almost weekly, where there's another big name. For example, we had the Jaguar Land Rover syndrome, we had the Marks and Spencers, the Co-op, the Qantas Airlines. Some really big names in our economy have been compromised by cyber attacks. I don't think our economy is going to allow MSPs to carry on the way they have, unregulated, without some kind of accreditation. And there is the new bill which is coming out in the UK, which is yet to be ratified. But I don't think that that our economies, and certainly our governments globally, can allow this to carry on, because it is so disruptive. So there's another thing. Regulation, I think, is an area which the industry is going to have to live up to. The third thing is, I see the business models where so many of us have built our organizations from the MSP1 to the MSSP. Now we believe it's the MSP2. I would challenge whether it's if it's rather another iteration than it is actually another, that it could be a curve jump that we have come from. I mean, I came from the break fix world. We jumped to the MSP industry, the MSP model. I'm wondering if we've got another jump ahead of us, and I think we need to get ourselves prepared And I think we need to realize that we may not be able to carry on just with the tools and the services we've got at the present moment. So that would be around the MSP model. And I think our economic models are changing. I think the days of billing by endpoint or by user, that could be coming. If you consider your billing by users, and there's a headcount reduction going on within businesses, then that means our margins are going, or we're going to have to change that business model, because I don't think it can maybe fit with what the economy is about to raise.
I agree. And yeah, it's exciting times looking forward. Fantastic. Which lead us to our final part, the MSP Hot Seat. So this question for you says, I know it may be coming winter, but this is a hot question to keep you warm. So they asked, they said, we're looking to grow through acquisition, but the idea of integrating another MSP with its own tools, people, and clients feels daunting. Therefore, where should we start to make this transition as smooth and successful as it possibly can be?
How will that become successful? Lots and lots and lots of preparation, lots of conversations are prior to it ever happening. Just speaking about the most mundane things. What phone system do you use? How do you answer phone calls? How do you record tickets? How do you speak to your clients? Do you say good morning? Do you say good afternoon? Are you a happy bunch? Do you reply everything by email, or is everything done by voice? Getting to know the nuances, it's like any relationship, and that goes back to the marriage syndrome, is you need to spend a bit of time understanding who you two of you are, and don't assume, because that's probably going to be the part which is really going to make a difference. Other big things you remember when you're going to merge systems together is how your systems knit together. We were both on the ConnectWise partner program. We both had the ConnectWise, but my goodness, if you looked at my implementation and you looked at my colleague's implementation, there wasn't that much that was the same on either side of that picture. We all had different terminology. You had different boards. You had different ways that the engineers were working. That all has to come out in the due diligence and the conversations before you ever put a merger together. I would say it's very worthwhile. It has been a great opportunity to build a solid team and to build people into the ethos of where we were going. But that took a lot of communication.
I imagine so. I love that you pointed out, even if you have the same tools, your configuration, even your very description of those tools might be different. So it's great to figure
Very
out all that
different.
ahead of time.
Yeah.
Austen Clark, I really appreciate your time today. Thank you for the conversation.
Jacob, thank you very much. It's been a pleasure speaking to you.
So one thing he emphasized is that communication is key. Whether it's with your current clients, prospective clients, or even other business potential partners you might be working with or merging with, communication is a critical part of it. And he described it, for example, if you have something you need to communicate, it's great to send that out multiple times, perhaps to multiple different people, and in multiple different formats, so that it's iterated, it's built into your brain then instead of just a one-time thing. And I love that he emphasizes the people element of the work he does as an MSP. The other part I thought was really interesting was we were chatting about certifications. Jera IT has several big certifications in the UK, but I was curious why. Why did he do that? And he described it as the concept of prove, not promise. So instead of saying, hey, I promise I'll take care of your cybersecurity, for example, Mr. Customer, he instead pointed out, hey, I'm going to prove that I know what I'm doing. I know how to take care of your cybersecurity. Here's the certifications that I have already earned, that I've already acquired for my business. So I thought that was really important. Prove, not promise. I'll remember that one. So I really enjoyed today's conversation with Austen Clark. I hope you did too, and have a fantastic day. That's a wrap on this episode of MSP Security Playbook. Thanks for spending part of your day with us. If you found today's insights helpful, be sure to follow the show on your favorite podcast platform and leave us a review. It helps other MSPs find the playbook and level up their security game. Got a question you want us to tackle in the MSP Hot Seat? Or a topic you'd like to hear more about? Drop us a line. We'd love to hear from you. Until next time, stay sharp, stay secure, and keep building the future of your MSP business.